Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Steven here, Manchester City. I've got the volume very loud. I'll turn it down a little bit. Sorry, it looks like it was peaking there. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Steven here, alongside the wonderful Andrew Detmer from the Main Road Ramble. How you doing, my friend? You good?
I'm good. It's a dreary day. You guys actually had warmer weather than we did today, which is not usual.
Oh really? Are you
Yeah,
it's sunny Manchester, man? It's actually pretty
yeah.
warm. Yeah, it's quite nice out here. So you're not in Manchester. Basically, we're having this like really weird thing called blue skies. We're not used to it at all, and there's a bit of sunshine, and I think I've even caught a slight tan, which I'm definitely loving. Whereabouts are you again? Sorry, Andrew. Whereabouts are you?
I'm in Indianapolis,
Yeah.
Indiana. It's like middle of the city, middle of the country.
Ah, okay. Big country. So like I always forget genuinely how big it was when I was driving around Austin the other day. I was like, wow, this is an insanely big country. But thank you so much for coming on. We'll get to all the topics of discussion in a bit. I do need to quickly say, if you haven't already downloaded One Football People, what are you doing? Please do scan that beautiful QR code next to Andrew's face on screen right now, or you can click the link in the description below and get the best football app on the market, bar absolutely none. You can join over 10 million people and download it for the absolute big price of nothing. It's free. You can click the link in the description and get up to date with all your Manchester City news and all that kind of stuff, and all the transfer gossip, which I know you're all absolutely obsessed with, like I am, and all the stats and information across the world of football as well. So download it right now and nourish your phone and help support this content creator if you don't mind by downloading One Football. You won't regret it, I promise you. I've been using it for like 4 years, which sounds insane, but it's genuinely true. 4 years now. So download One Football, scan that QR code. Bit right next to I put it on the guest face, which is a bit unfair. Sorry, Andrew, but download it right now. Scan that QR code.
Your audience is better served if there's a QR code instead of this. So
there we go. Well, I'll put it literally over your face right now, whereas it's next to your face, but now it's over Andrew's face. Scan Andrew's face for the most. But that's how you do a sponsored ad there. Cheers, One Football. Download it right now. Cheers. But we're here today to chat about Man City, and Andrew's come on kindly because, of course, if you don't know the Main Road Ramble, you should do by now. It's a fantastic podcast. Loads of wonderful people over there. John's there. Guerra's there as well. There's another one. Who's the other one who've been thinking of? Joe's there as well from Views of a Blue.
Yep.
As well.
There's too many Joes in Cityland doing city content.
I mean, there's too many Joes. Yeah, definitely. We don't talk about the other one, Butterfield. He's irrelevant. You know, Butterfield boy. What's he on about? Anyway, how you doing, man? You good? You well?
Yeah, I've got a big match tonight for national team. We play Mexico in Mexico.
Okay.
Which, yeah, the Azteca is one of those grounds. You know, it's like the San Siro, but for CONCACAF.
Yeah, it's a beautiful ground.
Yeah, and it'll be rocking. And both the U.S. and Mexico are kind of where a win really kind of locks up qualification for them, but a loss could make things a little iffy for them. So it'll be it'll be heated.
You could do with that man behind your shoulder there, DeMarcus Beasley. Okay, you do,
yeah.
won't
He is. I mean, there's a reason I have his kit framed because he's one of my all-time favorite players, and that man knew how to play in a big match. But thankfully, we do have another City player on the roster in Zach Steffen, who likely will be in goal tonight. So
What a guy. I love Zach Steffen, and I love DeMarcus as well, by the way. I really enjoyed him. Really good player. I love him the shirt as well, by the way. It's weird that that's a retro shirt now, but it is, I guess, which is it's an often heralded retro shirt as well, which I love. You know, the Reebok ones don't really get the love, but that's a nice shirt, that man. It really is. But Andrew, we're here to talk about Riyad Mahrez because a little bit of reports today have suggested that La Liga clubs, which is probably not a really surprise to anyone, that they are apparently sniffing about Riyad Mahrez. I mean, I think the whole world is probably sniffing about Mahrez, given how fantastic he's been for City this season. I mean, he might have even scored more goals than Ronaldo. I think he actually has. You're the stats guy, so I won't. I'll trust you on that one.
I refuse to believe that there's no. I think he's on 22 goals total, and there's no way Ronaldo has more than that.
I don't think he has actually, which is mad. But that shows how good Mahrez has been this season, of course. And now, according to reports, I love this. Barca identified Mahrez as a successor to Dembele. Oh, the flattery of that, you know. How lucky is Riyad to get to succeed Dembele, allegedly. But I do love that. With the sources close to the La Liga club stating that contacts were made even a few weeks ago. There were some suggestions as well recently. I swear I saw it, but that Real were probably looking at him as well. To be honest, I think it's probably likely that all the major clubs are looking at Mahrez, given his contract situation. I'm pretty certain he's got like a year and a half left. Is that right on his contract? So
yes, I think he's 2020, summer 2023.
Yes, and a few players are in that situation as well, which we'll get onto in a bit. But initially, what's your take with the Mahrez situation? How are you feeling about it? Are you relaxed? He seems relaxed for what it's worth. He's been very vocal, and I don't know if you feel the same, but he does feel like he's growing. He's very happy at sea. You know, the vibe I get from him is a guy who's, I don't mean matured in a bad way, as in like he was lacking maturity, but he seems to be like a statesman now, a bit of an elder statesman at Man City. Like he's comfortable within his skin here. He seems happy. Only a year and a half left though. What's your current take on Mahrez's situation at City?
So my take would be that I was skeptical of Mahrez when we signed him, and I will forever have to apologize for that because he's become one of my favorite players, not just to like watch, but also he just seems to get the club and like actually care about the fans. Like I feel like he's one of the same thing with Gundogan. Like when we lose in a big game, you can actually tell how devastated they are.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like it's just because they lost the game, but because they genuinely like want to succeed at this club. And we're talking about a guy who, came to City already having been the Premier League Player of the Year, having won a Premier League, and he's won a lot of other trophies while he's been with us. He is 31, so if someone wants to pay the right transfer fee for him, and if other players that are also expiring in 2023 stick around, I could see the business case for it, but I really think he's probably the player of the 2023 expirations that I would be the most upset if he left.
It's interesting that, isn't it? Because obviously you're talking about Sterling there, a man who's made a significant stamp on Man City's history, possibly the greatest winger in the club's history. There's an argument for that, and given the goals he scored. But I get that, because right now I guess he's the one who feels like the big dog out of those three, let's be honest. It's a weird situation for Mahrez because football is nostalgic and sentimental, rightfully so, because that's what the whole sport. The sport is this heartbeat, is nostalgia and sentimentality. He is 31 though, and I'm not saying he's showing any signs of slowing down, but life doesn't wait, time doesn't wait around for anyone. And at some point, City will be thinking, we'll stand him, but how much do we stand him by? Because there may be a fear that Mahrez at 34 won't be what Fernandinho is at 34, and that's probably not unrealistic as well, because that quickness of fleet-footedness, which makes Mahrez. It might not be there, So we do have to consider potentially that the effectiveness of a winger is going to be different to the effectiveness of a guy who just meant to read the game and put his foot in, So, and the same with Vinny as well, who was, that physicality. I guess that's what I'm trying to get at is wingers. They have to be alert and sharp, don't they? A lot more than maybe a centre back would be or whatever. So it's interesting to see how it goes. Do you think there's any chance you'd be tempted by a move to either of these La Liga clubs? I could possibly, I know it's controversial, but I would not be surprised if City were a little bit reluctant, to give him a long contract. I wouldn't be surprised if he was tempted by something like Real Madrid or a Barcelona. Not because he doesn't love it at Man City, but if the circumstances evolved to become useful for him. You know what I mean by that in terms of City didn't offer him a long enough contract?
Yeah, so I agree with you in that sense, although I know he's made some comments how he wants to retire in the Premier League, that he loves
I didn't
City.
know that, to be fair, so that's interesting.
And I believe his new wife is from Manchester.
It's an ex-Blackburn player's daughter, I think. Ashley Ward. I think it's his daughter or something like that. So
okay,
she's local. She's northwest anyway, I think, but definitely.
Yeah, so it seems like he's put down roots to where I could see him sticking around. I think the potential move that I would be intrigued if it would materialize would be if he got the offer to go back to Paris.
That's the one, isn't it? Because he's a PSG fan, isn't he?
Yeah, and when PSG inevitably loses Mbappe and potentially Messi, maybe when this whole project implodes.
Could be any minute, it could be now. Could be happening right now.
But if I were running PSG, they have this great academy, and you look at all the players across Europe that they have built, like in Nkunku and Dybala. If you say we're going to start focusing on all the youth that Paris produces, but we want to bring in some big names to mentor them, I can't think of a better player to kind of be the face of that than Mahrez.
Yeah. I think,
and I would not begrudge him if he was tempted by that.
Weirdly, I don't think many City fans would, mate. I think largely, Mahrez has been fantastic here, and if they want to double his wages and make him once again the next face of this next ever evolving project that is PSG's brand, basically. As a PSG fan, wanting to go home, would anyone really blame him? I personally wouldn't. I'd hope that doesn't happen for what it's worth, but
Yeah.
I think we have to be realistic when any player gets to 31, especially a winger, don't they? And especially when the contract's coming up, and be interesting. Big love to Omar Kashid, by the way, for the super chat, who said, "Let us keep Riyad and take Pedri from Barca just for the kicks." Do you know what, Omar? I think a lot of people, I like the way I love that you were like, no, fuck you. I'll do what I want. Actually, that's a power move, mate. I really enjoy that. But Omar, we all live in your world there. Pedri at Man City. I think Pedri would even.
I mean, the one issue that Barcelona runs into is like, even if they want Mahrez, and even if Mahrez were to want Barcelona, they have to cut their spending by 144 million euros between this season and next season before they can spend a single dime moving forward.
Are you trying to say they won't sign Erling Haaland, Andrew? Is that what you're trying to get at?
I mean, I guess breaking news. Yeah, they won't sign Erling Haaland.
It's mad that people are still counting in that as something that is genuinely plausible. Like people still, it's funny, isn't it, how the Barca press machine is still banging that drum. They have to in a way, don't they? Because they have to keep up appearances. Yeah. The Barcelona, they can't go, we haven't got a pot to piss in. They have to pretend to have money still, but they don't, do they? They are not in the conversation.
I don't know which is funnier, them pretending they can sign Erling Haaland or Shakira pretending that PK is still the best center back in the world. Which, to be fair, I aspire to have my wife think that I'm the best at whatever I do in the world, even when there is objective evidence I am not.
Well, my wife's writing in the chat right now. She's the latest comment saying hello. So, what, Nicola, am I the best at anything in the world? She better say yes to something. And do you know what? She will actually categorically, because she loves me to bits, bless her. She probably will say that. So, that's very sweet. But I'm waiting for that to never happen. Sorry in the comments if anyone's going to be reading that, because it'll be cringy as fuck. But that's true. But yeah, I mean, Pedri would be great. Omar, absolutely. He's a fantastic player. For what it's worth, these players, him, people like him, and the other one, what's his face? Gavi, that's the one, Gavi, because he's just Xavi, isn't it? That's like, thinking it's like a regen version of him. They ain't gonna go anywhere. Mm-hmm. Why Barcelona aren't terrible? They won't go anywhere because they are literally Barca lads, aren't they? So that's the thing. We talk about these players, but they don't want to go anywhere until there's a reason, definitely too. And I think they haven't reached that point yet, Barcelona, where they have to strip out those kind of assets. But Mahrez is an interesting one. I mean, I do think there's probably something to keep an eye on here. What's your general take on the contract situation? Because we are, approaching something of an interesting situation. Of course, Foden's not signed yet. I think that's 2024, so we've got a bit of breathing space there. But Jesus, Sterling, Mahrez. Is anyone else in particular? I think most.
So 2023 is Sterling, Mahrez, Gundogan, Redacted, and Jesus.
Redacted,
yeah. You can interpret who Redacted is.
I don't think we have to worry about Redacted's contract there. I think we don't have to worry about it too much. What's your take on that situation? How are you feeling? I mean, this is a personal thing. Who do you want to see extend? It could be none, could be all, and it's a safe space. Don't worry.
So I would actually be very happy if all of them extended. I like all of those players. I think there's a role for all of them.
I agree with that, actually.
I think the likelihood is that because 3 of those are forwards, only 2 of them do extend when you're signing Haaland and Alvarez. So like if that happens, I just don't see a world where then you also sign all 3 of those guys and then you have all the other players around there. I think the odd man out, because his wages and the transfer fee I think would be manageable, is Jesus. Even though I love what Jesus brings to the squad, but I can also see him thriving in Serie A, and there were obviously the Juventus links today, but they were like, we're only going to buy him if he's less than 30 million euros, which hilarious. Juve.
All right, mate. Okay, who do you think we are?
Like I'm gonna buy a Ferrari if it. Yeah, I'm gonna buy a Ferrari, but I'm only gonna pay 10 grand. Like,
give it a go, see what happens. Let me know, Andrew. I might try that. Yeah. Just the whole. I mean, the funny thing is that might have worked on us about 4 or 5 years ago. I don't think it'll work now. Weirdly, I think City will be a little bit better. Maybe that's based on nothing, but I guess the problem we got is obviously the Jesus contract situation where. Yeah, someone's got. I hadn't even considered that. Someone's going to get Jesus for like 30 million, aren't they? They really are. It's going to be silly. Richie Rifle.
And at the end of the day. If they do, I mean, what is it? 5? That'd still be a profit, and he's done a lot for the club. So whatever, it doesn't annoy me. The one that worries me if we can't resign is Gundogan, because even though I don't love a Rodri Gundogan double pivot right now, I would be worried if there was not anyone else capable of playing the 6 in the squad at all.
I am a little bit nervous
in...
about the Gundogan situation as well, because I think I don't know how that's going to go. I've got a feeling he might end up leaving, because right now he's very much, whether this is right or not, whether I agree, you agree, whoever in the comments agrees, he's very much the odd man out in midfield. Like, that's not fair, probably, but he is. Guardiola right now chooses De Bruyne, he chooses Bernardo, he chooses Rodri, and that's probably not deserved, but it's not undeserved in terms of, like, it's not deserved for De Bruyne or Bernardo to sit out either. It's just the nature of Manchester City, and I do feel like he's one where right now he's cool, he's calm, he's beautiful, he's Gundogan, he's wonderful, he'll relax about it. But get to the end of the season and get to the end of the season after that, and if he's still the guy who's on the bench, he's another one where I wouldn't be surprised if Barcelona give him a call as a free transfer and he goes, you know what, I could play under Xavi for a year. I wouldn't be surprised, and that worries me a little bit with Gundogan, because I do agree with Jason. He said he should be playing more. It's one of those things where it's like there's a lot of players you should be playing more at Man City, but then there's a lot of players you shouldn't be not playing less. So that's just the nature. And Gundogan is he's one of the ones I could probably see leaving, man. Like I don't want him to, but I think you never know though. Guardiola might still have playing him, for the next 10 games in a row, and he scores 6 goals, and we wonder why we sat here and said this, in the middle of March. But that's City, isn't it? That's City. Richie said, if those players are going, thank you for the super chat, Richie said, if those players are going, City have to be confirmed to be getting Haaland. Also, hope you're doing well, Steve. I'm good, thank you, Richie. Hope you're good too, mate. You would think largely if some players, if the forward leaves this summer, you would think City are going to sign a striker. I mean, we already have signed a striker. People are forgetting Alvarez, and it's weird because he doesn't feel real because he's on loan, but we have signed a striker, and I think Pep's comments were very positive on Alvarez, weren't they? They were very much. They sounded. I think it was really telling, by the way. I'm not sure you got this impression as well, Andrew, but like Guardiola was talking about his smell of goal, which is, I love his broken English. But after City were firing blanks, and I thought that was really interesting. It's almost like Pep was like, for fuck's sake, just give me a striker. Right, he's coming now. Yeah. And do you think there's a chance that Alvarez is benefiting from City being prolific right now after they've signed him? I think honestly that could happen.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that's, if you're looking at your squad and you're creating all these chances and then you just keep blowing them, you're probably more willing to take a chance on a younger striker coming in rather than what Pep has been doing, which is just like playing one of his best players there, even if they're not a striker.
Yeah.
But I mean, Alvarez is kind of designed in a lab to play forward in a Pep Guardiola system, because he kind of does everything creatively that you want, but then he has that, I don't want to say Aguero-esque in the sense that I think that he could be the next Aguero, but he has the similar instinct that like an Aguero or a Cavani or somebody does, where they just are at the right spot to put the ball in the back of the net.
Don't tease me like that. Imagine though, like a little Aguero replacement. Like I know you're right. I mean, I made a TikTok because I'm down with the kids, but I noticed that the quality of the finishes when I did a little video, like it just looked like Aguero. It just did, and that was. I know it sounds really weird, but there's a little kind of like locomotion to how they move and all that kind of stuff. It does remind you of certain players and the style of finishing and stuff. I'm not saying he's the same player, he isn't, but there was a more than passing similarity in the way he moved, in terms of when he's taking his shots and all that kind of stuff, which. Guardiola's an emotional, sentimental person as well. He's ruthless, don't get me wrong. But, given the fact that we're craving goals right now, and he had that teary send-off of Aguero, and he's seen this guy score a hat-trick the other day, and goes like Aguero, and then we're wasting chances. Football and emotion gets through to even the hardiest of souls, and I would not be surprised if Guardiola was looking at that and going, get him in, let me have him in the summer and see how it goes. But back to Haaland as well. Yeah, I do think. The thing is as well, Richie said, if those players are going, City have to be confirmed to getting Haaland. And there's another side to the way looking at it. I wouldn't be surprised if one of those players is going, potentially, if it happens, because they think Haaland's coming in, which is the other way of looking at it.
Yep.
Not that City getting rid of a player, more that player is getting rid of himself. And I mean, that is the reason why I think someone's potentially going to leave if Haaland signs, because, well, there's just one less squad place, potentially 2 with Alvarez coming in. Would you subscribe to that theory?
Absolutely. And I think so, we had chatted when we were talking about striker options on the podcast a few months ago. And I made the point of, if you bring in Harry Kane and then a young striker, you can probably also carry, I just blanked on his name,
Alvarez.
Our academy.
Oh, Delap.
No, not Alvarez. Delap. Thank you.
Yeah.
You can carry Delap and a young striker and Kane. because Kane is probably only there for 1 or 2 more years at a peak level. And even if he's there longer, he's probably not at his peak. He's not playing every match, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But if you're signing Haaland and you're signing Alvarez, that's a lot of minutes that are going to get eaten up. And then you're also talking about Palmer has been brought through, and Pep really seems to like him.
Yeah.
Seems to like McAtee. Like, it seems like we're being set up for one of the people that plays a lot right now is not going to play that much.
It does seem that way, doesn't it? I mean, so by the way, I've just noticed a bit of breaking news. North Macedonia are beating Italy right now, which means Mancini, after winning the Euros, I love the guy, but it looks like he's done the same thing he did at Man City. It looks like Italy are going to miss out on the World Cup, which is absolutely crazy, by the way.
Thoughts and prayers to Views of Blue, because he tweeted this morning that he was freaking out about it. So
yeah, well, there we go, man. That's North Macedonia. This is not a fake. This is true. North Macedonia are beating the European champions Italy right now.
Would you say that's like QPR, who could be relegated, beating?
I think it's even more than that. North Macedonia, like that's Wickham beating us. And I don't even. Maybe that's a little bit harsh on North Macedonia. Actually, they're not quite that low, but they are. That's insane. That's absolutely crazy. And Wales are through apparently. That's great. Oh, come on. I've got a Welsh heritage. My dad's Welsh, so go on Wales if that's actually true. That's crazy, by the way, and I love Mancini, but he does do this every now and then. He has these highs and then really drops off afterwards, which he did at City as well. That's crazy.
It's a rare trait in a manager because he's very much an emotional manager in the sense of that one of the reasons he's so good is he can just get everyone pulling in the same direction.
Yeah.
But you can only keep that going so long before it can start to implode.
He does it a lot, man. Like I got into a debate with someone on Blue Moon Forum the other day, and there's a theory going around. I think Asan said it, like that certain people who can't stand Pep are still hung up on the idea that Mancini was wronged, and they love Mancini so much that they can't ever love Pep.
Yeah,
it's insane to me because you can just love both, But some people still genuinely believe Mancini's a better manager than Guardiola, which I find mental. I find that absolutely, as much as I love him, I find it crazy. And I think the point I made was that this happens with him, and that they were on the. I didn't believe they've actually gone out, which is I'm gutted for him for what it's worth, genuinely gutted. Yeah. But it just doesn't surprise me. And I think the point I'm making is, look how much we've moved on. As a city, City are not. It's not even close to what it was back then. It's on another level. And that's a big shame for him, man. That's helped City. That's City's chances. England's chances though, and maybe the US's chances as well. I would love to see the America make it. By the way, I'd love to see it.
We're just building towards when we host in 2026. That's the goal here. Let's build the youth. We got a young team. Get the culture going. Get everybody excited for 2026. That's the plan.
You guys have got to introduce relegation. That will change everything. I guarantee you. That's my controversial opinion, but.
I don't disagree with you. There are business reasons why not, but actually I don't think it'll matter for the U.S. Like, our best players are playing overseas, and they will be long after 2026.
Yeah, no, you're right there. But I think more people will be tempted to come to America to raise the standard a little bit if there's this structural change. And I think the MLS absolutely has the money and the lifestyle potentially to draw a lot of players that aren't just there for the jolly at the end of the career. And I mean that in a positive way. So I feel like a more recognised European system would draw players that are just out of the peak age as opposed to going over there for like Zlatan did towards the end of his career, though admittedly he then went on and scored loads but you know what I'm getting at anyway. But I would love I guess what I'm getting at is I'd love the MLS to be a damn sight more competitive in terms of not competitive in the sense that I know it, I guess, and maybe I'm just being too much of an Anglophile, but either way, that's a bit crazy news, man. That's a bit of crazy news. Italy out of the World Cup, European champions. I tell you
that's 2 World Cups in a row, right? They didn't qualify last time.
I think you're right, actually. Yes, you are. I mean, the mad thing about that is that that's the most typical City thing in the world. So well done, Mancini there. Absolutely bringing the spirit. I want to talk about Haaland. How are you feeling about Haaland? I mean, I know I'm pretty certain it was you who talked about his statistical superiority to people like Vlahovic in the past.
Oh yeah.
And for those people who probably aren't quite as stat heavy as we've had some very good hearty debates, by the way, on Twitter, which I love for what it's worth. And Andrew's the kind of person you can have a good old debate, and guess what? It's like Twitter; it doesn't get personal sometimes. It's crazy people can debate these things on Twitter and actually not be knobheads about it. It's great, I love it. Which most of Twitter doesn't seem to be capable of. But Haaland, Is it fair to say he's the one? I mean, in terms of who he should be the one.
He's absolutely the one. I mean, it's him and it's Mbappe in terms of that next generation of player that they're so much better than everybody else. And I think some people this season in particular have been like, well, like look at how many goals Vlahovic has been scoring and Haaland's been injured. And largely Haaland has been injured because Rose is a terrible manager. He's always had these injury issues for his squads. And the type of injury that Haaland had earlier this season is the type of thing that is going to keep recurring unless you take real time off.
Yeah.
And because Dortmund got rid of Sancho, Gio Reyna, Claudio Reyna's son, has been in and out with injury as well. Like all of their players that
it's
kind
gone
of
quiet
should
on
have
the
been
Gio
able
Reyna front, hasn't it? It has gone quiet because he was the next big thing. I wanted him at City with Haaland, and it's gone very quiet.
Basically, you had Reyna, Haaland, and Bellingham to like kind of pick up the slack with Sancho leaving, and all of them kind of had issues except Bellingham. And so I get why people maybe were not as big on the like idea that Haaland is such a bigger option than anybody else, but like truly we are talking the difference between buying like a Formula One car, and that's Haaland, and then the next closest striker, you're just buying like a high-end like street legal car.
So
like, there's just such a difference.
Is there that much of a difference statistically between people like Vlahovic and Haaland, in your opinion? And what is it?
Yeah,
particularly
because
you can talk about?
Yeah, so I mean, if you just look at Haaland's like goal scoring record and the numbers, like Haaland scores at an unreal rate. He always has. And it's not just, oh, he scores a lot of goals, because you can say this thing about Vlahovic. Vlahovic scores a lot of goals, but his underlying numbers do not say that all of those goals should be occurring. And so you're talking about the last 18 months for Vlahovic, like he has way outperformed his XG, but not to a level where he's done it so long that you can kind of believe it. And it's at a pace where it's just, not sustainable. But Haaland, he overperforms his XG, but then even his XG is just way above everybody else. I mean, his XG, he averages by non-penalty goals 0.8 a game. So basically, he almost scores a non-penalty goal every single game, and his XG is 0.72.
And does that imply, basically, for someone who's a bit of a noob with this kind of stuff, if he's got a higher XG than most people, it means he's on the end of more chances because he knows how to be in those chances, and his general threat is greater in terms of his own personal threat level, in terms of what he creates and his movement. Is that a fair summation?
Yeah, I mean, so a lot of that all gets factored in. I mean, there's, because if he gets... The thing that XG will never account for is if a shot doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So even if a chance is created, but the shot doesn't come off, like that might not really get it won't show up in the numbers. But he's just a freak. Like he is I think he's what, like 6'1" or 6'2"? He's 6'3".
I think he's tall.
He's a 6.
He was. I think I think a lot of his injuries, by the way, come from this, because he was 6'1" 2 years ago. Yeah. Like he's massively shot up. Like he's had an insane growth spurt. I mean, go look at photos of when he was at Salzburg before he was at Dortmund, and he's much bigger. Like he's notably bigger, and I do think he's had a bit of a growth spurt, which I think has probably affected his frame a little bit, and maybe his But yeah, he's 6'4", fast as fuck to Jason. That's pretty much sums it up there.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, exactly. He's huge. He's fast. He's technically gifted. I think the biggest asset he has, and this is something that annoyed me when people were saying, oh, but you have to deal with Raiola. Raiola is there to extract the maximum value for Haaland in terms of the contract, make sure transfer fees happen. But that's not the only agent involved in this process. He also has his father, who was the consummate professional player. And everything about Haaland's career has been, how do we make sure Haaland reaches his potential?
He's really well managed. He's really well managed. Yeah. People forget as well that Raiola clients are really well managed largely. Like they have elite level careers and he manages them to the best. And we may hate him, but he's fucking good at his job. Yeah. He's really good at his job. And the fact that as well he's allowed Alfie to be involved is also a very smart decision. And the fact that Alfie has these connections with Man City, City aren't dealing with Raiola. They are, but they're not. Like it's a different situation, isn't it?
And also there's the fact of I think a lot of people point to the Pogba saga, but that is so different than we have Raiola clients, and we've had them in the past, and there are lots of Raiola clients who have been at clubs for a long period of time. Pogba, like, that's a shit show because Pogba's personality and, frankly, his ethnicity is always going to get a media coverage that is undeserved.
Yeah.
United have been a disaster since they've signed him. Like, an abject disaster. Then you have the managers they brought in of Ole. You've got Ole, who, like, is a happy clapper, but all the time would say things that was, like, clearly, like, he doesn't like guys like Rashford and Pogba who, like, aren't just going to, like, sit down, shut up, and only play football.
Yeah.
You had Mourinho, who Mourinho just is always going to pick someone to be a scapegoat. And, of course, he's going to – like, I understand the concerns about Raiola. That is not a concern. The thing that I do not understand are people that are like, well, but if we sign Haaland, he's only going to be at City for like 4 to 5 years, and then he'll go to Madrid. Okay.
I mean,
like,
I never got
one,
even
even
if
that happened. Right. Let's worry about that later. 2, even if that were to happen, why would we not want to sign the best striker in the world for 5 years?
It's sort of like being really single and saying, really single, desperate single, going, and we are desperately single in terms of a striker, and going, do you want to date the supermodel for a while? But they might leave you eventually. You'd be like, yeah. Like, I'll worry about that later. But what I mean, like, it's like, who says no? Like, you're young and, you know, you got, like, I don't understand it. It's like you deal with that later, don't you? You know, it's like this idea.
And it's not even just like a supermodel who just, like, she's just good looking, but, like, she's wealthy and it'll take you, like, to all these cool places.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, it's the scenario. I don't get it. It's this, like, it's this whole, this fear of, like I mean, to me personally, if you're Man City, like, I just realised, by the way, everyone, if you don't, some people just joined now. This is Andrew Detmer from Maynard Ramble. I pinned his Twitter details in the top comment as well, so you can give Maynard Ramble and Andrew a follow on there. So I'm going to start doing that. I guess I forgot to do that, but yeah, go and give it. Oh, Stephen's saying your wife see this. No, my wife, I got that. That's what I got, mate, and I got it for life, so I locked it down. So I'm good, and I mean that wholeheartedly. So, but that's what I mean. That the point is. If someone said you get this woman lick over for 3-4 years, I'd be like, yeah, I get it, and I'll convince her to stay. And that's what I did. So there we go.
Right, exactly. And that's the thing that also annoys me about where they're like, but, like, he might want to move at the end of the contract because Raiola want fees. It's like, sure, but if Haaland is happy and City have invested in him and show him, like, hey, not only could you win multiple Ballon d'Ors here, not only could you win multiple Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues, but we're going to keep making sure that you have the players around you that you can do that. That's just not something that a lot of clubs are going to be able to say. And obviously, we don't know when Pep is going to want to retire. I am more and more convinced that we may be his last club job because I just don't see that he's going to want to go to Serie A. He definitely has no interest in Ligue 1. So who knows? I mean, maybe he only does 10 years at City, but even if he does 10 years...
Only 10 years, Pep Guardiola at Man City. I mean, all of a sudden you forget that Pep's this Barca guy, but eventually he might just be seen as the Man City guy, which is crazy to think about, you know. Maybe people won't let him be that, but it's interesting. Someone asked, by the way, and I think it's probably fair to mention, someone said, what do you mean by the ethnicity? But and someone replied as well saying, Pogba, well, you know, as someone said, he's black Muslim in the UK, you know, and unfortunately certain parts of the press will draw attention to that. If you're not based in the UK, there are certain right-wing papers and press people that will give him a hard time just for that, which is horrific, but that's unfortunately life in the UK. So if you wonder what he meant by that, Andrew,
it's life in the US as well, unfortunately.
It is. So. It's life in a lot of Western countries. So that's, I presume, what Andrew meant. And unfortunately, yeah, there'll be... Look, we know Sterling had it as well, even though obviously he's not, you know, Muslim. He's a young black footballer accused of being flashy, accused of being... There's lots of dog whistle words, basically, that you know. That
I mean, it even happened to Tosin. Like, Tosin got bad press for doing the same thing.
Because he bought his parents a house, and, like, you didn't see that for Phil Foden, did you? You know, you didn't. And it's sadly, it's just the way of the world, and it's awful. But that's, I presume, what Andrew meant there. So, yeah, Abu Bakr just said even Tosin. So, all that shit over here, fuck that, and we're all good people here, which is lovely to say.
But back to more happy stuff.
Yes,
Erling Haaland. I'm confident. There is so much smoke, and not just smoke of, like, he's going to pick City, but there's the smoke of Madrid, like, already, like, laying the groundwork for why they didn't get him.
I agree, man. I agree. I'm very confident. I wish I could say something.
And also, I just don't know. Like, I think part of it too is it's not just that I don't think Haaland wants to be there with Mbappe. I don't know how Real Madrid can afford Mbappe and Haaland, because I'm not saying they actually had the money to spend when they claimed they were going to pay like 250 million transfer fee for Mbappe. But like, as soon as you put that out there, like that's the floor of the financial package that Mbappe is going to be demanding when he comes for free.
Absolutely.
Like he's going to be like, okay, between my signing fee, my yearly wage.
What was it they offered, by the way? Didn't they offer like 150 million that PSG turned down?
No, it was 250 million euros
that they turned down. That's insane. So all of a sudden, yeah, that's it. I'm saying he's like, well, that money you were prepared to spend, that's mine now,
right?
And
like I know they have a huge spending cap, but so they're signing Mbappe probably on that. You've got an entire midfield to replace because their midfield is incredibly old, as was very evident in their match against PSG. I mean, frankly, I was shocked that Real Madrid got through. I think it makes it easier for the other teams because I think PSG could have fixed some of their issues and been a threat to teams. Real Madrid is just so old in midfield. Like those guys can't. Like Modric and Kroos are just.
Look at the Clasico. I mean, that was a humiliation for them. I mean, I sort of loved it, by the way. I sort of
oh, I loved it. Yeah, I hate that club.
I loved the humbling after obviously the PSG game, and the Madrid are back and blah 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 blah, and then that an absolute humbling. If anything, that might have been the refocusing. They need to go. Oh yeah, we can sign Haaland, but we sort of do need to sign a midfield and some defenders, and they've got an old age in midfield. Kroos and Modric, they still lean heavily on them. They've got some good players, Camavinga, Casemiro, good younger players, but they do need to replace an aging bunch of players. And look, they'd be still playing Marcelo if they get away with it, because they haven't quite replaced a lot of the world class quality they got. Mendy's a good player for them, but they haven't. They still. I think it's fair to say they've not reached the highs yet of their previous their previous stalwarts. Basically, they haven't replaced a Ramos yet. In my opinion, with the quality and all that kind of stuff. So they've got a lot.
And you also have you've got Benzema, who's still killing it this year.
Yeah.
So like.
It doesn't feel necessary to sign two forwards, does it?
No.
I think it was
particularly
really
at that price.
There was really telling, in my opinion, that there was some rumours a few months ago where they were allegedly trying to encourage him to stay for another year at Dortmund, and
yeah,
I mean, that's a very specific rumour. When stuff like that comes out, like look, journalists aren't making, in my opinion, that kind of why would a journalist whose whole business thing is built on immediacy and hype and release a story to go, yeah, we'll try to sign him in a year and a half, 2 years from now. There's no benefit for them unless that was something that was legitimately true, because a journalist reporting for Madrid would want them to sign him this summer. They wouldn't want him to sign in a year and a half from now, because that doesn't get the clicks, doesn't get the headlines. So when a very specific rumor like that leaks, it's probably true. like Madrid asking him to stay around for a year, for another year.
And it would also just make sense of if you were trying, if you wanted to sign Mbappe and Haaland, like the better way to do that is back-to-back years, not
exactly, because that makes it feasible. So to me, that was really telling that actually financially they were always thinking this is going to be really difficult for us. And I do think I'm really confident. I'm really confident about. I mean, I'm happy to be burned. Once I've been burned by all the other players before in the past, it don't hurt anymore. It's just life, I'll get over it. But on a personal level, I am confident about this. I think we should be as well. And I mean, hopefully,
I just also can't imagine where there's no part of City's pitch to him that is not as strong or better than anyone else that's going to pitch.
I mean, the only thing that Madrid have got over us, in my opinion, is once again, they can go, well, we're Real Madrid fuckers. And I get that, because Real Madrid are Real Madrid, and there's a prestige, and also, I guess, the country, beautiful weather, Madrid's a beautiful city.
Are you implying that Madrid's weather is better than,
do you know what? We need to get Haaland to Manchester right now. Come look at these blue skies, baby. They're good. But to be fair, you've got to bear in mind, he's Norwegian, he's also born in Yorkshire, I think, I'm pretty certain. So, he does have that hardiness to him. And look, I mean, I'm in Ramsbottom right now, which is a little village outside of, it's a town outside Manchester, and it's blue skies and beautiful. So if you can be like that here, you can be like that in Manchester if you're watching Erling. So don't worry about the weather, man. You got plenty of time to go retire in the sun somewhere. And to be honest, what it's worth, there was some suggestions today. One of the aggregators, let me jump over to the tweet to find it here, that sources in Germany indicate that Haaland's desire is to enhance his career rather than take the best financial offer on the table. And Haaland's camp have questioned how the player will fit into plans for each club that's interested in him. And apparently Team Haaland have commissioned data analysis covering which club might best fit his profile. The 21-year-old believes the next move will be critical to determine whether he fulfills his ambition of becoming the world's best. I mean, to me, all that, when you read all that, that's just wonderful. By every metric then, if you're doing that, you really well managed, which I think he is. And you're doing that. The answer is Manchester City. It just is. Like if you want to develop at the best, you play for the best manager in the world, Pep Guardiola. You play with some of the best players in the world, Kevin De Bruyne, Phil Foden, all these young players that are coming through as well. And to me, that's the best thing you can do. Everyone's telling me to look at Sam Payne's tweet. I don't even know who Sam Payne is. I've never heard of him.
I don't recognize that name either. But yeah, I mean, if I was City's head of player recruitment, which is not a job I should ever be allowed to have because
no, because you signed Timo Werner, you absolute heathen. Not having that. This guy wants Timo Werner, man. That's it.
Yeah. Hey, if we couldn't sign Haaland, and I stand by it, but I would literally like get him into a room, not say anything, and just play clips of all of the chances that our players create that have not ended up in the back of the net.
A 10-minute comp of De Bruyne crosses.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
And then just stop, look at him, and be like, do you see the Erling Haaland shaped hole in our team? Also,
what I would do, and I reckon stuff like this absolutely appeals to players. 1 second. What's the record for most goals scored in a season in the Premier League?
Isn't it Salah's like 41?
Oh, not in a. No, I mean in a Premier League season, like in terms of like an individual Premier League, because no one scored more than a goal a game. In a season, I think it's. Let's have a look.
32,
Salah 32. I'd be showing that and going, Erling, come on, man, that is absolutely smashable for you. Like you could probably grab 38 if you stayed fit. 38, 40. Genuinely.
I was going to say I would put the moment Haaland signs for City, I am, whatever the odds are, I'm putting $100 on Erling Haaland breaks Premier League scoring record.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing is I would be telling him that. I'd be like, come on, man. Like you might struggle to beat Messi's, but you're definitely, I mean, in the biggest foot in the world right now, you're definitely going to beat that if you stay at Man City and you stay here right now. So it's Salah 32, Suarez 31, Ronaldo 31, Shearer 31. So that's what I mean. I'd be showing him that and going, of course you want to do that, man. You grew up watching the Premier League, and it's mad to think that stuff like that matters, but it does. Legacy, history. Haaland could smash that, if he gets a little bit lucky and plays in this City side. And this City side, I mean, if they're talking about analysis of where he's going to suit best, there's no club in the world right now that needs Haaland more than Man City of the quality that Man City can provide. There is nothing like that, Real Madrid don't need him. Barca have got Ferran Torres, they're fine, so they don't need him good player to be fair. But the point is, City need a striker more than any other major club in the world football. That's just literally true, which is crazy given we're possibly the best. But
the other thing that I just thought of with Haaland is, have you ever seen the interview where they try to get him to answer some questions and he's just very curt about it and he clearly doesn't like to do media?
I've seen a few of them early on, yeah. But he's just
I think actually Haaland just wants to Haaland wants to win a Ballon d'Or and be one of the biggest names in the world, but it's by how he plays. He doesn't want to do interviews, and honestly, playing at City that's the best way to he can do all of that and not be expected to be the face.
Oh yeah,
of
a lot quieter than La Liga. La Liga's an absolute fucking it's a shit show.
And Madrid would make him be in the press and make him do those big interviews. But at City, even though he would probably be, I mean, I know people are don't love the fact that people are already talking about how much money City are going to make him paid, but if you bring in Erling Haaland, he will be one of the best paid players at the club because he's already that good at 21.
Well,
but no one has to. City would be perfectly fine being you don't have to go out and do media. We're fine with that.
Yeah.
Pep Guardiola, De Bruyne, Gundogan, we have faces at the club that we can put out in front of there to where Haaland doesn't have to be expected to be the guy.
For what it's worth, I watched those interviews and I thought he was playing. It's been weird and awkward, but he's a young adolescent bloke who's obviously quite intelligent. Actually, I get the impression Haaland's a little bit more intelligent than the average footballer. I genuinely do. He seems to be very self-aware. There's an element of he's got a Scandinavian sense of humour, and Scandinavians, for what I know, are very dry. They're insanely dry and a bit sarcastic. And he's from Yorkshire as well, literally born there. So he's got a very Northern European kind of sense of humour, which is dry and bullish. And of course,
I really hope if we do sign him that they unveil him with the Yorkshire lads and it's just Walker and Stones with him, just chilling.
I don't care, mate. They can unveil him just outside of Greg's in Manchester. I don't care, whatever it is. I just unveil him somehow. You know what I mean?
I just need that's what I'm saying. I need them to just be funny with the unveiling, almost undersell the fact that you sign Haaland, which will make it funnier.
Just an announcement on Twitter. Haaland has signed, just a cheeky picture and nothing else. They'll do that little dubstep video where it's a 10-second countdown or whatever. They're getting the most out of their audio files, sound effect there, dubstep or whatever. But what would you do? I remember the Grealish one last summer. That was pretty hype, actually. I quite enjoyed it. I'm not one for that because I'm 36 years old, but I still enjoyed it. I still enjoyed the hype video. So,
I will say the best part of that though was the documentary that they created of him showing up. And then
my mate filmed a lot of that, and he loved it. Paul Walsh, the old Blue Moon Rising guy.
But he goes when he says "Little Phil," I was just like, "That's so great."
Yeah,
I was
Little Phil, Little Felipe. Is he in there? Little Phil. I mean, I must admit, I love the idea of we're getting ahead of ourselves here, but milking that sort of Haaland thing. And one of my favorite things to do is because I've got a couple of friends who work at Man City is when they sign someone, go, "What's he like?" And I can't wait. I love the idea of doing that. And to be honest, City don't sign bad eggs, so it's always been, oh yeah, he's very nice actually. We just don't. We sign a certain kind of player. Robert Clark just said sign his dad as an ambassador. That's the thing, Robert. You know what? You're not stupid there, because that is the kind of thing. Even Alfie would be like, there's a bit of money in that for me, I eventually could be. There is. I know he's got wanted anyway, but all of a sudden he'll be a pundit on the English TV if they want him, because. Literally, you think of all the media opportunities his dad will get all of a sudden. Absolutely, they'll want him in the studio everywhere. Absolutely, his reputation will be of this, the dad of ex-Leeds, ex-Man City. You forget about stuff like that. It's beneficial for Alfie as well. Because all of a sudden he'll be back in England again. He'll become this Manchester City legend, even though he never was. He was just he wasn't even a cult hero really. He was just a squad player. All of a sudden he'll be. So what's the stop name dropping, Stephen?
If Sky does not manipulate this into us getting Alfie Haaland and Roy Keane on the same channel.
Fuck me, man. That's them. That'd be brutal. I absolutely can't imagine that. But back to the main topic of this video for anyone who's joined in. I may as well just circle away back around for Mahrez. We all want to see Mahrez hanging around, and I'm pretty certain the rumours about Madrid and Barca, they are what I would guess most big clubs do. If there's a player who's got a year and a half left, you're damn right their agent's talking to everyone. Of course they are. They're talking to every major club because they're hedging their bets a little bit. But I still think, in general, Mahrez will be here to whip crosses into Haaland if he's here next season. I think that's probably a fair conclusion, right, mate?
I 100% agree, and I look forward to it. And I feel like actually Haaland and Mahrez are two of the players. I think Mahrez is up there for players that I think Haaland is going to love and get along with, because they're both just about the football.
Oh, I kind of like the idea as well, Haaland bringing the vibes a little bit with his silly celebrations. And I wonder what that Foden thing is. I think they did a video together once, didn't they, or something like that? They played FIFA together.
Yeah.
But that Foden, there's something there, There's something there. They both probably wore Balotelli shirts as a kid and all that kind of stuff. And they both probably got a lot more in common than we realise. But Andrew, mate, It's 10 o'clock at night here. We're in the UK, so I'm probably going to wind it there, man. But it's been an absolute pleasure. It's been a genuine pleasure. I want to say quickly one more time, you guys don't mind downloading OneFootball, it'd be absolutely appreciated. I'll put that little banner on screen right now and the QR code. This time, not on Andrew's face. Get your phone out, give that a scan if you don't mind.
Wherever, of course,
don't forget as well, Andrew right now, his details are in the pinned top comment. Andrew's from the Main Road Ramble, top bloke, over from Indianapolis. Hopefully the US do it for you against Mexico. When is it, tomorrow? Or is it tonight? Tomorrow.
It's tonight at 10 p.m. our time, so that'll be 2 o'clock in the morning your time, because it's in Mexico City, so it's like a West Coast kickoff.
Come on,
for
US,
us,
man. Though I've got nothing against Mexico, to be fair. So may the best team.
All I have is the deep hatred as a U.S. men's national team.
Do you know
fan,
what?
A beautiful country and beautiful people.
I don't know anyone from Mexico either. So in this instance, fuck Mexico. You know what I mean? Sorry to any Mexicans watching. I'm repping. There's too many Man City fans that I've met, who are based in America. So I'm on Team America for this one, unfortunately. And Zach Steffen. There we go.
There you go.
Come on, US. What's one of your chants? Have you got one? I don't know. Have you got any American chants?
You don't need to hear any of these because they're all terrible.
Defense.
They're not that bad, but the main one that everyone will hear is it starts with I, and then I believe, and then I believe that we will win. I believe.
Oh God, I've heard that one. It's shocking. I thought you were going to start doing the pledge or whatever it was.
The new one is that.
Sorry, Eduardo. Sorry, Yahya and Eduardo. I have nothing against Mexico. It's a beautiful place. I also like to say, Joe in Mario Kart goes, let's go. I always used to go, Mexico. So I love Mexico, genuinely.
But the Iceland clap, we now do USA. like to that, and I hate it so much. I refuse to participate at the matches.
I love you guys. You're adorable.
It's the worst.
Anyway, big love to
Absolute
Mexico.
worst.
I genuinely love Mexico. It's a great place.
Their food is way better than ours.
Oh
I
yeah,
will
man.
fully
They
admit.
bring load. I had some Tex-Mex food when I was in Austin. And I tell you what, the Tex bit was not as good as the Mex bit. I'm just going to put it out there. Genuinely wasn't. So I'm just pissing off everyone here across the ocean. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Give Andrew a follow. It's been wonderful. And I'll be back tomorrow for another video in a bit. Good night, everyone.
Cheers.